courts in other jurisdictions in other states faced with mass shootings following this same avenue for recourse, for justice, for the families, for the victims, and to continue to put the parents on notice. It's okay to buy your son a hunting rifle, but when you buy him an AR-15, that's a difference. And the system is going to look at it differently. No one hunts with an AR-15. AR-15 is a weapon of killing, for use to killing people.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Mansfield. It seems like a lot of copycat cases. We know that this kid in particular was very interested in the Florida shooting case and had studied that presumably. And I don't know, they want to be martyrs. They want to be something, but they're engaging in conduct that is so incredibly egregious. But Mansfield, Bobby, I'm still trying to understand why 2 counts of murder, 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter.
So, Areva, you caught on to it right away. It doesn't make sense legally. And I think we're going to have to wait to see what other shoes drop in the next few days to determine, why legally that there would be a difference between charging murder as a respect to 2 other people and then just 4 straight involuntary manslaughters. And I don't like, and people may disagree with me, I don't like charging the lower charges with the greater charges, because it sends a message to potential jurors that the prosecutors don't necessarily have a clear confidence in their case. So we'll have to wait to see what their reasoning is here. But I'm pretty confident that all 4 should be charged with murder. If they're going to go for any of them, it should be all 4 for murder.
Yeah, Rob, my producer asked a good question. Would there be any distinction between the murder of the adult teacher, well, there's a teacher and I guess a coach, versus the murder of the 2 children? There wouldn't be any law or reason to distinguish between who was murdered, would it?
No, that there's no, you don't pick victims in terms of, degrees of murder. So that doesn't make sense. And again, we'll just have to wait to see, what the legal reasoning is. This is all happening very quickly. They quickly filed charges against the child. He's 14. Here in California, that there was a law passed that our justice system will not charge children under the age of 16 in adult court. So that's a big change in Atlanta. And I'm sure that the Atlanta prosecutors are mulling, are they doing the right thing in terms of charging a 14-year-old with murder and trying to move him to adult court? So it'll be interesting to see how all this plays out.
Yeah, Mansfield, I know. These cases are so difficult. You have the grieving families, right? The people whose family members have been killed. You have the 8 or 9 victims who were shot who survived. All the remorse that they will feel, survivor's remorse. Then you have these children back to school who are terrorized. Our kids, we had earthquakes. I didn't have earthquakes. I didn't grow up here, but you folks in California had earthquake drills. We had tornado drills in the Midwest. These children in school today from kindergarten on have active shooter drills. They literally have to learn how to avoid these shooters. And maybe these drills help, because maybe this kid, rather than killing 4 people, would have killed 16 people or 20 people. But the charging of a 14-year-old with murder and moving him to, adult court, that's troubling for me as a civil rights lawyer, as a mother, as a social justice activist.
So if you have a case where you're actually trying to represent the 14-year-old defendant, you're looking for mitigation. You're looking for things in his past that indicate that he wasn't a stable individual, et cetera. But the focus really here is on what happened in this situation and what is society's response going to be as the rate of mass shootings continues to increase in frequency and in destruction year after year after year. And so I think there may be, justice isn't perfect, and everyone deserves their day in court. He's going to get his day in court. But in the meantime, justice has to send a signal to the community, to society at large. We've got to do something to try to stop this behavior. or to try to contain this behavior, or to try to make parents more responsible in their decisions regarding purchasing weapons of mass destruction for their children. And I think that's what is going to be driving this case. I think this is something that is going to, again, start trending. I wouldn't be surprised in California that, Bobby, that the DA's office files a similar case if something like that happened in California.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The country, at least a lot of us, are fed up with this. We're fed up with the thoughts and prayers. We're fed up with the Republicans who refuse to enact sensible gun control laws, the universal background checks, outlawing, banning these AR-15 rifles. We're sick of it. And prosecutors are expressing that with these charges, and not just against the shooters, but against the parents. We'll see in several years what impact this has as you start to see parents going to jail for substantially long periods of time. These are serious charges, as Bobby said. If this father is convicted, he could be facing life in prison himself. So again, very serious charges. When we come forward, Hunter Biden, Alford plea. Interesting. See what's going on with the president's son and his efforts to avoid a public airing of his failure to pay his taxes. Stay with us. KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Have you heard of the 50-30-20 rule? This can help you spend and save your money wisely. So how does it work? Distribute your dollars into 3 buckets. 50% towards needs, 30% towards your wants, and 20% goes to savings. Use this tool to help your journey to financial success. Sponsored by JP Morgan Chase & Company.
Oh, man. Looks like Bobby needs a ride to the airport again.
Grab the keys.
Who's taking Auntie and her friends to the swap meet?
Grab the keys.
How about we drop these boxes off at Miss Johnson?
Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, you're all about getting things done. So do it all in a Chevy SUV. From the versatile Equinox and sporty Blazer to the roomy Traverse, our lineup of SUVs will carry you through every adventure. All you have to do is
grab the keys.
That's how we do. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles is a nonprofit law firm that protects and advances the rights of the most underserved, leveling the playing field and ensuring that everyone can have access to the justice system. Every year, LAFLA provides free, high-quality legal services to more than 100,000 people living in poverty across greater Los Angeles. Their unique combination of neighborhood offices, self-help centers at courthouses, and domestic violence clinics puts Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles on the front lines in vulnerable communities and at the forefront of change. LAFLA's expert team of attorneys, paralegals, and support staff works to provide direct representation, offer counsel and advice, provide referrals, and educate the community about their legal rights through workshops and seminars. With locations all over LA, you can access their services or volunteer to help no matter where you live. And if you have an urgent issue, call 213-235-0060. That's 213-235-0060. To get legal help, make a donation, or volunteer, visit lafla.org. lafla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
All right, Mansfield. Abby Lowell earned his keep today in a courtroom where he made this surprise plea or tried to enter this plea for Hunter Biden to help him avoid what was going to be and still may be a very embarrassing trial on his taxes and his failure to pay taxes and his failure to file tax returns. His lawyer entered what's called an Alford plea. Help us understand what that is and what the judge did once that plea was entered.
In state court, it's the equivalent of requesting or entering a plea of nolo contendere. It's not a not guilty, and it's not the court treats it as a guilty plea, but you have certain benefits by pleading nolo contendere. So it's like that. But in the federal court system, although Abby Lowe offered to enter into an Alford plea arrangement, the DA, they're not the DA, the U.S. Attorney's Office, DOJ, rejected it. And what Hunter Biden ended up having to do was just plead straight out guilty in a regular to the charges as they stood. There were no negotiations. He pled guilty to the charges as they stood. And he did so to avoid what would have been a hurricane of embarrassment and ridicule and attacks by the Republicans, by Mr. Trump, against Joe Biden and the Biden family. And so he did that. He sort of, I remember the expression during the OJ trial, he fell on his sword to protect his family's name. And he didn't get the benefits of an Alford plea. The judge told him, do you understand that by entering into this plea, you could be looking at 15 years in prison and over $1 million fine.
Wow. Okay, Bobby, guilty plea. He walks in, says, Your Honor, there's evidence. Obviously, if presented to a jury, is likely to result in me being found guilty. We know that in the federal court system, when you plead guilty, usually though, when you plead and cooperate, I don't know in this case, since he pled at the 11th hour right before the jury was going to be selected, do you think that will help him get any benefit when they go to the sentencing part of this case? The U.S. attorney will have to make a recommendation to the court as to what the sentence should be. Obviously, Abby Lowell will be making the recommendation. Ultimately, it will come down to the court deciding what his sentence should be.
So I saw Mansfield shaking his head, and he was doing that because as you correctly pointed out, it's the 11th hour. The prosecution had already made whatever offer that they were going to make to him. The Biden team had denied that, rejected that. It's clear here that the prosecutors want jail time. And I think that the judge is going to give them jail time. Now, Hunter Biden is hoping that by making this plea and avoiding having to go to a trial, in addition to saving his family embarrassment, it also saves money and time for the court. So the court, although the court may not be disposed to not giving him any time, he's got to take that into consideration. So I do think he's going to get some credit, but not the type of credit he would have gotten if he had pled guilty a year ago.
Do you know, Mansfield, what the offer was from the U.S. attorney in terms of a guilty plea, say a year ago? Were they offering 5 years in jail, 3 years? Do you know what they were offering?
I don't, but the average of sentencing for tax evasion, this will come as a surprise to you. Close to 50% of those sentenced are given probation, and the other 50% get sentenced low range sentencing terms of somewhere between 1 to 3 years. Now, it's only when you are involved in tax evasion that includes a monster scheme like Madoff and others involving damage to, hundreds of people or tens of dozens of people or thousands of people. Are you looking at sentences that can land you in federal prison for 30 to 50 years? But in this case, with the sentencing range so low, it's I don't know why this move wasn't taken earlier, actually, for the same reasons that Hunter Biden gave today, to protect his family from the embarrassment, because they've gone through quite a lot of embarrassment, and they have given Mr. Trump fodder for his fake attacks. He will embellish the truth of what happened today and turn it into something else. So get ready for that in tomorrow's updates from Mr. Trump. He will make this hearing into something else.
Yeah, he's going to blame it on Kamala Harris. Kamala will be Hunter's sister, his mother, or somehow related to Hunter Biden.
Yeah, probably. You've
Let me
got
ask you this, Bobby.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Joe Biden said today, again, he's been emphatic. No commutation of the sentence, no pardon for his son. But he ain't going to be the president much longer. God willing, Kamala Harris will be the president. She's not made that promise. She's not said anything about Hunter Biden. what are the chances of Hunter Biden getting, say, 3 years or 2 years for this case, and Kamala Harris saying, he served 6 months, that's enough, let him out?
So I've been thinking about that, and we talked a little bit about this in relationship to other folks, Marker Lee Thomas. I don't believe that that Kamala Harris is going to sit by if she's the president, that she's going to allow him to get 5 years.
Right.
When I think everybody feels that the judge is making an example out of Hunter Biden, and that it's wrong. The prosecutors didn't accept what would have been a reasonable offer. I think we talked about this also, that the prosecutor was trying to go unreasonably for a sentence that wasn't really in line with what he had done, right? And I do think there's a good chance that if Kamala Harris is the president and she thought that this was a miscarriage of justice, that she could pardon him. Now, there's political risk, and we could get into that at that time. Hopefully, we'll have inauguration parties and everything to go to, so we won't have to deal with that at this point. But, I do think this is unfair, Areva, and I don't think that it merits him getting 3, 4, or 5 years in prison. It just doesn't.
Well, we have to leave it there, guys. Thank you so much. Great insights on these very, very difficult, high-profile cases. We have had a lot of legal stuff happening over the last couple of weeks, and it's going to continue because Donald Trump still is facing some very serious charges in courts across this country, and obviously this case in Georgia is going to capture the attention of the nation. Again, thank you, Bobby Grace and Mansfield Collins. Okay, we are done for the week. Have a phenomenal weekend, and I'll be back here on Monday. And the next voice that you hear will be Robin Ayers and the Raw Report right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Stay with us.